Odinism. This one is a term that you may hear certain people refer to as I'm a pagan and I'm an Odinist. Be careful when dealing with people that use this term to identify themselves as heathens, because Odinism has very strong ties to, first of all, the prison system. Most of the people that came out of an institution are picked it up in there. But it's deeply rooted in fascist Nazi bullshit, okay? There were definitely cults of Odin at a time in ancient pagan times. There were definitely different subsets of tribes of people who had a very specific focus on a god or more than one god or goddess. You know, you have cults of Thor, cults of Odin, but it's not the same thing as Odinism now. It's become a bastardization of that, you know, cultic focus on a specific deity.
I think the way that a lot of white supremacy is understood is a little bit cartoonish to what is actually being said. I think you still have to understand that because they understand that, you know, or at least they play these semantics. I really dislike when people like, who cares? That's just like them trying to intellectualize it. Okay, but that's how they get brought into these things. That's what they talk about. That's what they believe. So you have to understand it. You can't just say, well, this person is a Nazi. They might be a fascist, but without being a Nazi. They might be a Francoist. They might be, you know what I mean? Like other various levels of fascism.
Yes.
And if you don't understand that, you'll never be able to work out who's working with who. If you want to truly stop these people, then you have to understand the intricacies that they live by, I think. And I don't think it's worth just saying, oh, who cares? They all believe in some fascist thing. Yeah, they do, but there's layers to it. And if you choose to be ignorant of that, they will run rings around you.
We are Wotanist. We are Odinist. That means we are free thinkers. We know what our fight is for. We know what our battle is for. And here we are, 2017. Many of us were in prison. Many of us came out of the white power movement. And we should never pick words that fall in line with the establishment. Oh, we don't want the government to think that we're white supremacists. So we will use buzzwords within our kindreds, within our tribes, within our organizations, because we don't want to ruffle no feathers. Because these so-called older groups, older organizations, they never thought we would last. They thought we would be a fleeting moment. But look at us, 30, 35 years, however long. Look at us now. Hopefully I opened your mind up to let you know that there is groups out here that they might not dress up as Vikings on weekends. They might not fall in suit to what you did, but you don't have a monopoly on what the gods and goddesses do. You don't have a monopoly on who the gods and goddesses open hearts to. You don't have that right. Because we're proud Odinists. We're proud Wotanists. And many of us are proud members of Wotansvolk. Too many of our people are falling trap to this, let's be politically correct. Wotanists and Odinists, we're not politically correct. We call black, black. We call white, white. And we let everybody know that we are for the advancement of the 14 words. Period. We're not afraid to say that we use the knowledge that our gods and goddesses have handed us in order to preserve the greatest race this earth has ever seen. Because remember something, Wotansvolk, these other kindreds, organizations, tribes, they won't admit it. But Wotansvolk and Wotanists and Odinists, we're waking a lot of people up that they won't deal with. And when the shit hits the fan, y'all will be the ones they turn to.
A few years back, I was looking into a neo-Nazi group called Atomwaffen Division. Essentially like a neo-Nazi paramilitary group in America. They killed, I think, like 4 or 5 people in total. So I was looking at them, and then all of a sudden I started seeing this weird like satanic iconography come into their like designs. And I was like, hang on, I know that symbol. And basically, long story short, a satanic kind of occult group that started in England and believes in like human sacrifices had made its way somehow through the internet to a neo-Nazi group in America who took on their iconography. And this isn't like, you know, you get all these satanic idiots. Every third podcast in Britain is, have you heard about this satanic paedophile ring? And 9 times out of 10 it's unfortunately masking a very real issue, but blowing it out of proportion with nonsense conspiracy stuff. But this was real. Like, this is, Order of 9 Angles is like actually linked to murders, to human sacrifices. And some of them even kind of became more interested in the O9A than the Nazi stuff. And yeah, it's just this, the founder of it he was a former neo-Nazi terrorist, then he converted to Islam and became an Islamist, like an extremist. He wrote a whole book about how great like Al-Qaeda is, like, yeah, Osama bin Laden's cool, you know, like he was really on it. Then he kind of stopped that and went into this weird like spiritual stuff. He's the guy that's behind it. He claims he's not, it's him, everybody knows it's him. And yeah, like he was linked to like the Brixton nail bombings. He's just a very weird guy, and now it's actually spreading. And there's kids as young as 13 and 14 have been convicted in Britain as being members of the O9A, or at least, well, they're not a prescribed organisation, so they're not convicted of being that, but they're convicted of the stuff that they've been involved with as a part of the O9A. And one of the darkest things is they get like girls, like young girls, to harm themselves, like self-harm, and they take images of it. And they're basically, their thing is, whatever is depraved, whatever is seen as fucked up by society, if we can indulge in that, we become like almost like not human anymore. Not physically, there's no physical change, but they become like desensitized to the point where they're like, right, we're just devil, evil, kind of, but like real evil, you know. It's a weird concept. It sounds like a conspiracy, it sounds like a nutcase, but it's real, you know. The fact that, to give you an idea of how real it is, the government right now in Britain is considering prescribing the O9A as a terror organisation. So they know it's real. There's been several attacks related to them. And yeah, it's just like, it's a rabbit hole, you know. It's the maddest rabbit hole I've ever been in.
Fara vilja med och min och mina laus.